Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place, and it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is the DataGridView Control. The DataGridView Control is going to let us access our SQL Server database and control the data. This is the video where we learn a little bit about components that connect to our database to our application so that a user can easily work with the data. In this video, we're going to use Microsoft Wizards to connect the DataGridView Control to our database. In the future, we'll learn how to use code to directly put our data on the DataGridView Control. You'll be surprised at how easy this becomes. Oh, there are a few things that might trip you up. When programming, there are always things that will trip you up. But in general, this is a very powerful tool. Let's get to it. Now that we've actually built a database table and put some pieces in there, put some data in there actually, we're going to use the DataGridView Control to display the data and to be able to operate and use it as an application. And you'll find that very, very little code is needed to make this happen. And we'll end up with a anything database just like we did in version 4, version 3, and so on down the line. Much more powerful though, and much more easier to do when you look at it through a database view. So let's get started with this. A data-bound control is a user interface control that's connected to the data source. A data-bound control can be connected to a column in a database table. Data-bound controls automatically display data from the data source and can be used to change the data that they're bound to. What does all that mean? Well, the database control is a data-bound control. The DataGridView control can display an entire database table in a scrollable grid in an application form. Kind of nice. And I've used these things in applications before. Like I said in the last video, I use it in code. I don't use the wizards, but I use the code. But we're going to use the wizard right here to make this all happen because it's very easy to do, and it gives you a sense of how you can actually do this. Later, we'll work with code and make these things happen as well. So we're going to use the Anything Database version 5.0. We're going to add the person MDF to the project as a data source. We'll create a data set that is connected to the person table, and then we're going to add the DataGridView control to the form, letting the user interact with the database. So we're going to open this thing up. Looks kind of like this. All the stuff looks the same. We've got a toolbox here, the Server Explorer. We've got our Anything Database form with nothing on it at this point in time sitting there. So that's what we're going to actually do. We're going to click Project and we're going to add New Data Source. Okay. And then once we do that, we're going to use the Data Source Configuration Wizard and click that database and add the database as the data source. So we're going to highlight this database piece and then click Next to move forward. That's going to allow us to select the database and click Next. And then the person MDF should automatically be selected as our data connection. We'll click Next. We hope it is. And the connection string is fine. Person connection string. Make sure yes is checked. Sitting right over here. And then we click Next. And we choose the database object we're going to include in our data set. We'll expand the table entry and place a check next to person, and we can keep the name of the data set suggested and then click Finish. Open our database demo and bring it up. So it's sitting right in here. What we're going to do, we're going to open. We have the project open. We're then going to click on Project, and we're going to click Add New Data Source right in here. Once you do that, we get that data source configuration wizard to appear. We're going to add the database as the data source. So we're going to highlight database, clicking on it, and click Next. We select our data set, and we click Next here as well. It does find the person MDF. It's automatically selected as the connection, so we're going to click Next on this. Connection string is fine. Person connection string. We're going to make sure yes is checked. It is. And we're going to click Next. We choose the database object that you want to include in the data set by dropping this thing down. Expand the table's entry, place a check next to person, and we're going to keep the name of the data set suggested and click Finish. Person data set, that's fine. There it goes. So up to this point, we've added the person MDF database as a data source to the application. So we use that application piece. We create a data set component that is connected to the person table. There's our data set component. Now remember, that's the array that's in memory that's pulling that can pull that data. And then the name of the data set is person data set. That's what we're actually looking at. So our data source is sitting down here. When we pull things for it, it's going to go into a data set, and our application will be able to have access to it all. So we're going to click the View on the menu bar, click the Other Windows on the dropdown, and click Data Sources. Click View in the menu bar, Other Windows on the dropdown, which is right here, and then click Data Sources, which is right up here. Next, we're going to see that person data set over here. If we highlight the person here, we're going to expand to show the person table. The drop down the arrow, select the data grid view, and then drag the person table to the form. That's what we're going to actually do right now. We see that person data set sitting over here. We're going to expand it to show the person table. There's the person table. We're going to drop down the arrow and select the data grid view. There's our data grid view. We'll drag the person table to the form. And there's our grid sitting there. Now we can do things with it. Notice all has happened here. The person data set, the binding source, the person table adapter, and the table adapter manager and the person binding navigator are all sitting down here in controls to make this thing work. As you can see, this is basically what we got. The data grid view is a control and a navigation power up here on the form. So we've got this and all set to go. We can now play with this thing. So we're going to adjust the form and the control as we desire. Make it a good fit for us. And then in the components tray, you'll see the components that were automatically created when you place the data grid view control in the form. And I just showed you those. Person data set, person binding source, person table adapter manager, and the person binding navigator. You don't have to worry about these things. They're just there for you. The person table adapter is the table adapter that gets data directly from the data source. The table adapter manager manages multiple tables in the application. The person data set is a copy of the table from the table adapter in memory, like the array I've been talking about. The person binding source connects the data grid view to the data source. The person binding navigator, the navigation bar. We're going to save and run the application, and the data grid allows us to add, edit, delete, and save the file. So let's give that a shot. I'm going to change this thing, adapt it a little bit. Move my application around. I could change the size of my form if I wanted to and fill this thing in there. Well, let's go ahead and run it. Do a file save. Save all. Let's run the application. Now notice the application has the data I already entered before manually. I now can adjust these sizes here and make this a little bit smaller so I can see more of the data. I might want my last name to be like this, and I might create maybe a smaller size on the city. State can be very small. That gets my zip code down to this size. That means I can probably open up a field that needs to be opened up. I'm not going to use the address line too much, I don't think. So we'll leave it like this, and we'll bring our zip code in, and we'll extend this address line 1. So it's a little bit bigger. Now we can actually go in here and add data. So if I want to do it, I can certainly do that. I can simply add something. I'll pop it in here. I'm going to put in Tweety Bird. 432 Perch Lane. And this will be in Cage City. Put California 2 and 98223. Drop down and fill in our Tweety Bird application. Let's see. Let's see. Foghorn Leghorn. And so on down the line. Click on another one if you want, and click this guy. And no, I actually spelled Foghorn wrong, did I? You can pop up here and fix him up real quickly. A nice thing about this is I can actually work with it. I know it's kind of small. Foghorn, there we go. And I can do Yosemite Sam. I have no idea what the zip code is for Yosemite Sam. I'm going like from there. I now can save this if I want. By going here, I can actually save the data and place it in my database. So it actually updates it. I have 6 records. Notice the person IDs have all changed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has actually created unique ones here. I'm going to delete Tweety Bird right here. And I'm going to go just do an X on this thing. And now we're down to 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I'm going to add Tweety Bird back in. 223 Perch Lane, I think I called it. Cage City. And 98343, whatever. And do that, and we're set. And it updates. I'm going to save this guy. And notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4 is missing, 5, 6, 7. So our key has incremented. We got rid of something. We can't reuse that key again, so it simply adds numbers to it. So if we're missing something, it's because we actually physically deleted it and cannot use that ID again. So the ID is unique to this particular record as we go forward. You'll notice as we work more and more with databases. But this is putting everything together now. We've got all the records out there. We've saved it. We can go ahead. We can navigate through this thing. As you can see, if I had more down here, we could actually scroll through this. And you would see more come up. We can now close it and make sure we save all here. Get rid of it all. Let's bring our application back up again. Run the application. And look at that. Anything database works fine. We need to adjust these columns again. You can actually do that in code, by the way. You can set this up so that all of it is there. But all my stuff is here. My 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 is all sitting there, and we're good to go. So basically, all this stuff is there. And interestingly enough, if you look at this from a code standpoint, this is our code. Let's blow this away. This is all we have. We didn't put in a line, basically. The system did it for us. We've got some to-dos in here. This line of code, load database application, you can move it or whatever you want to do with it. We've got some editing and updating. All that kind of stuff is sitting out here. So it's all sitting out there, ready to go. We didn't have to do anything to it. It simply did it for us and created this. And like I said, you don't have a lot of control here because you did not write this code. It's all sitting back in the background someplace in here. See some stuff in there. But we want to keep it like this and then go from there. So we're going to learn how we can actually use code to make this thing work. But for now, this is great because we can write a quick application to make things work, and it works just fine. It does save our data. It does all the work. It's just that we're confined to what Microsoft has given us. We'll see how we can adapt and change all this thing in future videos. So this is a DataGridView Control in a nutshell. There, we've created our first database application. This is just a start. My consulting career was based on being able to write applications that connected a user to a database. As you view the next batch of videos, you'll learn more and more about how we can work with data using these powerful tools. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance, and please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.